A year ago, Modern Vintage Gamer put out this video on 3DS modding, and he said something at the end of that video that has stuck in my head ever since.
I think really the intentions have been signaled that Nintendo is no longer interested in the 3DS, so really it's up to you now to decide how you want to proceed and enjoy these games in the future.
It's up to you now. On the last video, I tried to create some awareness about the 3DS eShop closing and what you could do about it. But in this video, we're not worried about that because we're taking matters into our own hands. Let's do it. Welcome to Retro Perfection and welcome to all the new subscribers. Thank you so much for your support. If you haven't subscribed, the only question I have is why not? Doesn't cost you anything, really helps us out on the channel. I was hoping to get to 100 subscribers and you guys just blew it out of the water. We're now at over 600 subscribers and counting. Let's get to 1,000. Back to the video. The Nintendo 3DS eShop is closing. We all know that. March 27th is that do or die date. If you have not made any purchases or used your funds, then it's over for that. In the last video, I incorrectly said that you wouldn't be able to download your purchased games. You will be able to do that, hopefully, for some time. But here's the thing. How long will that last? And Nintendo has supported the original Wii shop for a long time just for downloads, and they will continue to support the Wii U shop as well as probably the 3DS shop. But we don't want to depend on Nintendo, do we? Just as a side note, I've got a whole nother video planned about whether or not these companies care about retro gaming, classic gaming, or the preservation of video games in general. And so if you want to hear about that, sound off in the comments below. But the bottom line about the 3DS eShop is that it's up to us now. The eShop may be closing, but that is not the end of the 3DS. So I had never modded a 3DS. I had never even thought to do so before now. And really the only reason that I wanted to do that is because there's a couple of games that are eShop exclusives or really expensive that I wanted to get my hands on. For example, Kid Icarus Uprising. I really wanted to play that game, but I refuse to buy digital if there's a physical copy available. And the physical copies for this game are well into the over $100 to buy them on eBay and any other place right now. I have no idea why that game is so valuable. I guess they didn't make a ton of them. So that last video that I put up about the eShop closure kind of blew up. It's got 22,000 views, which is like 21,000 more views than I thought it would get. And of course, hundreds of subscribers. Thank you again for your support. But there are a lot of comments that said, well, you can just mod a 3DS, right? You can just do that. Yes, I was well aware that you could mod a 3DS, and it had been around for quite some time. However, the last time I looked at it, which was, again, probably years ago, it was fairly complex to do. And I kept seeing comments from all of you saying, it was so easy to do it. You just do this, and it's easy, and it's wonderful, and it's amazing. And it is wonderful, and it is amazing, having modded this 3DS already. But I can tell you right now, it was not exactly easy. It wasn't hard, but it wasn't easy. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. We're not going to do a tutorial here on modding your 3DS. In fact, I'm going to point you to the place that I used that I think is the best place on the internet to go to for modding a 3DS. And that place is 3ds.hacks.guide. It is a wonderful, clean website that has very, very simple instructions. It even gives you clarifications repeatedly about things like your SD card needs to be inserted now, and this does not have to look like this, and you need to hit this button. And yes, I got hung up on a few things. It's funny because I work in technology and video, and even I had a little bit of trouble with this. One, because I was trying to go too fast and I wasn't paying attention, so you've got to take your time. That was the main barrier for me as a dad of 3 boys. I got a full-time job that I work at. It was hard to invest 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour or more modding this system. And I didn't want to have to restart. I didn't want to have to go back, and I wasn't going to try again unless I got it right the first time. But again, I say it was not easy, but it definitely wasn't hard. Now some of you are out there going, look at this guy, look at this noob over here, like doesn't know how to mod a 3DS. But seriously though, think about it. The first time you do something, aren't you nervous? Remember the first time you drove a car, for instance, by yourself? Wasn't that nerve-wracking but also amazing at the same time? That's kind of like what this felt like. I was nerve-wracking. I didn't want to brick my 3DS. I didn't want to do anything, and there was all these warnings about it and all sorts of stuff. But those instructions at 3ds.hacks.guide were superb. I did get hung up on some things, especially on the flip note part where you have to do this exploit with a Japanese app. And again, it sounds really complicated. Frankly, I did not want to take the time to go back and try to do it again. So just a few things, 3 things that I have as tips for those who have never modded a 3DS, and a little bit about my experience talking about it. 1, it's a lot of steps. And I do mean like it's a lot of steps, small steps. You got to do all sorts of different things. You got to move files from here to there, all sorts of stuff. And again, not hard, not impossible. And anybody can do it. If you have a computer, an SD card, and a 3DS, you should be able to do this no problem. This rivaled me setting up my Mister back in the day and getting everything in order for that in the early days of the Mister project. And we're going to have a lot more content about that. Just make sure you subscribe. But again, 3ds.hacks.guide, superb. Absolutely wonderful to be able to follow this guide step by step. I had to do a thing called Seed Miner. Some people may not have to do that, but I had to do that with this new 3DS XL that I modded. And let me tell you, it is absolutely worth it once you get to the end of this process. The second thing, and this is not a big deal, but you take out your SD card and put your SD card back in your, you go from 3DS to your computer to 3DS to your computer. You probably do that a dozen times. And it's not annoying. I understand the need to move all the files around and things like that, but just know that you're going to be taking your SD card out, in and out all the time. And yes, you can use a Mac, but me being and I'll go ahead and say, I think I'm a Mac expert. I've been using a Mac for almost 25 years now. The Mac does something really weird. It creates these .trash files sometimes, and it does these little underscore files if you're transferring files over to an SD card. And at one point it had to install several things in a row during the homebrew process, getting homebrew up and running. And it wanted to install that trash file, and I knew what that file was, so I just said skip it, and it was fine. So again, if you're using a Mac, you need to be aware of certain things like that. I don't know why Macs do that, but it's really annoying, especially when you're going from Mac to PC on certain things, like I do in my everyday job. And again, I've spoken about the time component, but the third thing is that you'll need at least 30 minutes to 45 minutes to do this for the first time. Now, if you've done it multiple times and you've used the same methods, and you've got it down pat, you should be able to knock this out in probably 20 minutes or so. But again, it's very important that you do some specific steps. And there's also some safeguards in place for backups and different things that all the instructions go through. Very, very well done. You can tell that those instructions at 3ds.hacks.guide have been tweaked and perfected quite a bit because they're very, very good. Just pay attention, take your time, and you'll get it done the first time, and it is wondrous when you get it done. And why is it wondrous? Let me tell you, come here, let me tell you. One word, eShop, or is that 2 words? eShop. Oh, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, eShop blew me away. I knew that something like this existed, but let me tell you, and again, as a disclaimer at this point in the video, I just want to say this video is for educational purposes only, and you should never pirate games. Anyway, when I realized what eShop could do, I was blown away. And when you see it, and when you see the amount of content available on eShop, you will be blown away too. There's a lot of other stuff that you can do with 3DS Homebrew. There's a lot of other stuff that you can do with even eShop, and I've barely begun to scratch the surface on all this, but I want to thank you as the viewers who have inspired me. You really did. You inspired me to take this on and to go through this and do this. Normally, I would not spend the time to mod these different things and to set these different things up, especially with the crazy life that I have with 3 kids and all this other stuff. But man, this has been worth it, let me tell you. So if you're thinking about modding a 3DS for the first time, let me encourage you. Take the time to do it. Visit 3ds.hacks.guide. It is a superb way to do this. Take your time, pay attention. And that's all I got to say about my experience on modding a 3DS. Thank you so much for being here with us. We hope to have videos out every 10 days or so. I can't guarantee one every week. Again, busy life. But thank y'all so very much for the support, and thank you so much for subscribing. And if you haven't done that, make sure you do that below. Make sure you comment below. Let me know what you think. I would love to know what you think. Be nice about it, please. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being part of Retro Perfection. We've got a lot of good stuff coming with retro gaming, classic gaming, maybe even a little bit more 3DS. This is not going to be a 3DS specific channel. Don't worry. But again, we've got a lot more stuff coming, and I want you to be on board with us. Thank you for being here.